I spent all of 2022 chasing success harder than I'd ever chased anything. And I can give you the numbers because the numbers are what finally broke me out of the trance. 147 applications. Jobs, pitches, collaborations, partnerships, 400 plus outreach emails, content 6 days a week, coffee meetings 3 times a week, follow-ups within 24 hours on every connection, 14 books on strategy, branding, negotiation, 5:30 a.m. for 11 months, screen time averaging 13 hours a day because every spare minute was productive. I was the hardest working person I knew. Not bragging, stating a fact that kept me up at night because none of it was translating. The spreadsheets were meticulous. The hustle was undeniable. The results were a joke. 3 callbacks from 147 applications. 2 collaborations that dissolved into awkward silence after the second call. Revenue down 15% from the year before. And that was the year I supposedly wasn't trying hard enough yet. 0. Literally 0. Of the opportunities I chased actually converted into anything real. I checked twice. Then a third time because I didn't want to believe my own tracking sheet. And here's the part that almost broke me. A friend of mine. Same year, same field, fewer connections, less experience. Landed a partnership that reshaped his entire career. Didn't apply. They found him. Didn't pitch. They asked. When I cornered him about his strategy, he said something I dismissed at the time, and now consider the most important sentence anyone's ever told me about success. I stopped trying to get in front of people and started making things that put me in their peripheral vision. Didn't understand that for another 8 months. I'm going to make sure you understand it in the next 15 minutes. There's something I started calling pursuit drag. The resistance your own chasing generates. Think about aerodynamic drag. The faster you drive, the harder the air pushes back. At low speeds, barely there. At high speeds, it's the dominant force. You're burning exponentially more fuel just to maintain pace. Your chase works the same way. At moderate effort, the drag is minor. But when you shift into chase mode, frantic, all in, I need this yesterday. 3 things happen simultaneously. Your desperation becomes visible to the exact people you're trying to impress. Your field of vision collapses to one narrow path, and you go blind to every alternative. And you burn through the resources you'd need to actually catch the opportunity if it showed up tomorrow. Harder chase. More drag. More drag. Harder chase. Feedback loop. Invisible from inside the sprint. I'm not about to tell you to work less or detach from outcomes. That advice is philosophically cute and mechanically useless. What I'm going to show you is the structural alternative. Positioning mode. From running toward a moving target to becoming the location the target is already heading toward. 3 mode shifts. Each one kills a specific drag force. None of them require less work. They require different work. Before the shifts, you need to see the full mechanism. First drag force. Desperation signaling. When you flip into chase mode, your behavior changes in ways you can't see, but everyone around you absolutely can. Emails get longer, more eager. You say yes to everything. Even things that make no strategic sense. Because saying no feels like closing a door you can't afford to close. Follow-ups land too fast. In conversations you lean in too hard, not physically, energetically. You volunteer qualifications nobody asked for. You over-explain why you're a perfect fit when nobody raised the question of fit. From inside, it all feels like hustle, like initiative, like doing what you're supposed to do. From the other side of the table, one unmistakable signal. This person needs us more than we need them. You know the feeling in your body already. That tightness at the base of your throat when you're sitting across from someone who could change things for you. Not nerves. Need. A constriction right above the collarbone that squeezes every time you're about to speak to someone who holds something you want. Your voice shifts. Slightly higher, slightly faster. Sentences stretch because you're terrified the silence will cost you their attention. You laugh at things that aren't really funny. A social lubrication laugh that every person in the room unconsciously registers as performance. That constriction is pursuit drag living in your chest. When you feel it, stop. Breathe. Let the silence exist. Because the silence signals exactly what the tightness was destroying. Second force. Strategic tunnel vision. Chase mode puts your brain into goal narrowing. The intensity of pursuit literally shrinks your peripheral awareness. You can only see the one path you're sprinting on. I spent 2022 locked onto specific companies, specific clients, specific partnerships. Had a color-coded spreadsheet. Had target lists I updated every Sunday night at my kitchen table while my coffee went cold. My strategy illuminated roughly 2% of the available surface area. Meanwhile, the opportunity that changed everything came from a comment I left on someone else's post. Not even a strategic comment. Something I found interesting and responded to without thinking about ROI. Led to a DM. Led to a call. Led to a question. Have you ever considered applying this to a completely different industry? I hadn't. 12 months of sprinting, and I never once turned my head. The opportunity was 15 degrees off-center from where I'd been staring. Third force. The cruelest one. Reception burnout. By the time an opportunity does arrive, and they do arrive, even for the hardest chasers, you're too depleted to catch it. Emotional reserves gone from months of rejection and radio silence. Financial cushion thin because you threw every spare dollar at the chase. Schedule buried under the 47 low-quality commitments you said yes to during desperation mode. The free consulting call, the just grab coffee meeting, the collaboration that pays in exposure, creative energy at zero because you've been producing applications and content at a pace that left nothing in the tank for actual work. Success doesn't just need to find you. It needs to find you with both hands free, your calendar open, your bank account breathing, and your head screwed on straight. Chase mode torches all four. Three forces, all generated by the chase, all invisible from inside. And each one has a specific countershift. The email that made me finally see the Desperation broadcast was one I found in my sent folder 3 months after I stopped chasing. A pitch I'd written in June 2022. 847 words. To someone who didn't know my name. 4 paragraphs on why I was uniquely positioned. Unprompted. 3 pricing tiers. Before they asked about price. Automated follow-up scheduled for 36 hours later. Closing line. I have complete flexibility on timeline and scope. I wrote that thinking it showed professionalism. Reading it 8 months later, I saw what they saw. A person with no boundaries, no competing demands, willing to contort into whatever shape necessary to hear yes. They never responded. Obviously. I printed that email. It's on my wall. Every time I draft a pitch now I glance at it and ask, is this 847 words? Or is this the email of someone who has somewhere else to be? The signal audit. 5 signals you're probably broadcasting right now. Response time asymmetry. They email at 2, you respond at 2:04. Every time. You think, professional. They register. Nothing on this person's desk outranks my message. Fix. Respond on your schedule, within a reasonable window. People with real leverage don't rearrange afternoons for every incoming email. The availability flood. I'm free Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, or anytime Friday. They register. Ghost Town Calendar. Fix 2 specific times, both at least 5 days out. The unsolicited pitch, volunteering your qualifications before anyone asked. They register. Audition. Nobody auditions when they already belong. Fix. Ask about their problem. Listen 70% of the conversation. The over follow-up. Email, then LinkedIn message, then a comment on their latest post. They register. Surveillance. Fix. One follow-up at 72 hours carrying actual value. A resource, an intro, a relevant link. Then silence. The preemptive discount. Lowering your rate before they negotiate. They register. This person doesn't believe their own number. Fix. State the number. Full stop. The person who fills the pause after a stated price loses. Kill the signals. The drag drops. People who were stepping back start leaning in, because the person they're encountering now doesn't need them. And the people who don't need you are the ones everyone wants at the table. If this is landing, hit subscribe. I'm not going to beg for it because you just learned what begging signals. The collaboration that changed my 2023 didn't come from any application or outreach email. It came from a genuine comment on someone else's post. That became a DM. That became a call. That ended with, "Have you considered doing this for an industry you'd never thought about?" The peripheral strategy isn't be open. It's a structured expansion. Take your core offering and apply it to 3 adjacent contexts you haven't considered. Not random, adjacent. Fields or audiences that share structural similarities with your target but aren't on your chase list. Graphic designer chasing agencies? Adjacent contexts. Indie authors needing book covers. SaaS startups needing UI they don't know they need. Local businesses still using clip art logos. Same skills, different field. And in each one, instead of being applicant 500, you're the only qualified person in a space that doesn't know you exist. That's positioning. That's what my friend meant. He wasn't fighting for the audience everyone was chasing. He was placing work where an adjacent audience would stumble onto it. An audience that had the need but hadn't seen the solution yet. He became the unexpected answer in a room that didn't know the question had been asked. 3 questions this week. Write them down, not in your notes app, on paper, because the act of writing slows your brain enough to think laterally instead of linearly. Who else needs what I do? Not my target, the one I haven't considered? Where is my skill set the scarcest, not the most prestigious? What conversation am I not in that I should be adjacent to? Chase mode asks who to impress. Positioning mode asks where you're the most unusual presence in the room. First answer puts you in a crowd. Second puts you in a category of 1. August 2022. Well-connected person emails me. Someone mentioned my work at a dinner I wasn't even at. Interested in a collaboration? Short-term, high visibility, solid budget. Need to know by Friday. I read that email 3 times. My hands were shaking. This was the email. 11 months of grinding and the universe had finally gotten the memo. And I couldn't say yes. Not because I didn't want to. I wanted it so badly I could taste metal in my mouth. Because I'd said yes to 14 other things during desperation mode. Low-paying gigs I took because saying no felt dangerous. Exposure projects that exposed me to nothing but more unpaid work. Networking commitments that looked productive on my calendar and produced 0 leverage in my life. No margin anywhere. I asked if the timeline was flexible. They needed someone the following week, found someone else. Took them maybe 45 minutes to move on. The biggest opportunity of my year showed up, and I was too busy chasing smaller ones to catch it. The sprint consumed the finish line. Reception architecture. What needs to exist before success can land. Schedule margin. 20 to 30% of your week unscheduled. Not for rest, for readiness. That's the landing strip. Financial runway. Enough buffer to say yes without panic, to walk away from bad deals because you can afford to. Emotional bandwidth. The stability to negotiate from "I want this" instead of "I need this." The person across the table can always feel the difference. There's a phenomenon in quicksand most people get backwards. The instinct is to thrash, kick, struggle, wrench your legs free. And the harder you fight, the faster you sink. The thrashing creates a vacuum that pulls you down. The actual escape. Stop fighting. Lean back. Redistribute your weight. Small lateral movements. Same body, same quicksand. Different interaction with the medium. You've been in quicksand. The chase is the thrashing. And the advice you've been getting, hustle harder, apply more, is someone on solid ground screaming, kick faster, at a person sinking because they're kicking. I stopped chasing in January 2023. Opportunity landed in March. Not because the universe rewarded my patience, because I killed the interference pattern, widened my field of vision, and built infrastructure to catch what I'd been deflecting. 3 actions this week. Under 30 minutes each. Days 1 and 2. Signal audit. Pull your last 5 important emails. Read them from the recipient's side. Flag every desperation signal. Count them. Then draft your next email with 0. State value. 1 time slot. Send. The discomfort after you hit send? That's drag dropping. Days 3 and 4. Peripheral scan. Write your main goal. Then 3 adjacent contexts where you'd be valuable and rare. Pick one. Take 1 action to become visible there. 1 comment, 1 message, 1 pathway opened. Days 5 through 7. Reception inventory. If the perfect opportunity arrived Monday, could you say yes? Do you have 10+ uncommitted hours? Financial buffer for 60 days? Emotional state where you'd negotiate from want, not need? Whichever is weakest, that's your build priority. Not chasing. Building. I chased success for 12 months and it moved at exactly the speed I was running. Always the same distance ahead. Never closer. Burning my fuel and going nowhere. The day I stopped, I realized the treadmill wasn't broken. I'd built it. Every desperate email, every tunnel vision sprint, every burned reserve was another belt on the machine. I stopped building the treadmill. I built a landing strip instead. 8 weeks later, something landed. Not because I attracted it with positive energy. Because I stopped generating the drag that was deflecting it. The effort was always enough. The interference was the problem. Kill the interference, build the runway, and stop chasing what was always trying to find you. Tell me your pursuit drag. Be specific. My drag is desperation signaling. I respond to every email in under 5 minutes and offer 6 available time slots. My drag is tunnel vision. I've been applying to the same 20 companies for 18 months and haven't looked sideways. My drag is reception burnout. I'm so overcommitted I couldn't say yes to a real opportunity if it showed up tomorrow. Name your drag. You can't kill what you can't name. And the name is the first step off the treadmill. Subscribe for more content that treats success as physics, not philosophy. Because interference patterns are measurable, and measurable things can be fixed.